ready. In the ring now is Class 1 Baby Doll Southdown Market Lamb. This lamb weighs 71 pounds. There's only one entry in this class. Test 1, 2, test, test, test.
Well, what a fun way to start our Market Lamb show and our just the Youth Sheep Expo in general. I know the young man only brings us one baby doll, but I do think a high quality kind of sheep, one that's just really good in terms of balance and silhouette from the side, and still just in terms of Market Lamb fundamentals, that one's really got some width and squareness, one that's really good in terms of its body shape. I just think a nice place for the young man to start our show today. Put your hands together.
Placings in Class 1, first place champion Baby Doll Southdown Market Lamb goes to Owen Atwater. Entering the ring now, we are ready for that Class 2 Cotswold Market Lamb. Cotswold. The Dorpers, I believe, are all ringside, so let's make that third and final call for both classes of Dorset Advantage Market Lambs.
Another single entry in our Cotswold division, and I still think one that's got some practicality just in terms of its center. Like that one's length and extension. I think he ties his neck in really good out of the top side of his shoulder. I just think a kind of practical, good project for the young lady. My compliments to the young lady.
Placings in your first class of Dorset Advantage. First place, congratulations, goes to Harper Nichols. We are ready for that second class, Class 5 of Dorset Advantage Market Lambs. One entry in this class weighing 133 pounds. Also, a reminder, all weekend long, the official photographer of Youth Sheep Expo is Emily Adcock Photography and Design. Make sure that you go to her website to check out all of her pictures and buy the photographs. Please, guys, don't be using the watermarks. Buy them from her site. That's how she's making money and paying her girls this weekend. Also, exhibitors, just a reminder that if you have a breed champion or reserve breed champion, when we get to the end of the show to pick our grand reserve and top 5, we need to have both our breed champion and reserve breed champions ringside for that.
I think another nice single entry Dorset Advantage and another ewe lamb that's really good in terms of her boldness at body. I think that one's got a lot of rib and dimension. Maybe for me, one that just gets a notch plainer in terms of her look. And I just think that's because she's pushed in a notch more condition than I'd term ideal. But I still think a nice kind of practical ewe lamb for the young man.
Placings on that Class 5 Dorset Advantage Market Lamb first place, and congratulations, Owen Atwater. We're going to leave Owen out there in the ring, and we're going to bring back that first place from Class 4 by Harper Nichols and select our champion and reserve champion, Dorset Advantage Market Lamb.
Well, we bring our two Dorset Advantage entries out, and I do think they both bring some good things to the table. In my mind, I think there's one that's not only just a notch fresher, but a notch higher quality just in terms of her look and pattern. I do think there's another one that just represents the basics, the mass and width very, very well. The young lady out of our first class will be your champion. The young man out of her second will be your reserve.
Your champion, Dorset Advantage Market Lamb, goes to Harper Nichols. Your reserve champion, Dorset Advantage Market Lamb, is exhibited by Owen Atwater. Let's give our Dorset Advantage exhibitors a round of applause as they are exiting the ring, please. We are ready for Class 6 Hampshire Market Lambs. Class 6 entering the ring now. These lambs weigh in a range from 90 pounds to 116. This is going to be that second call for Class 7 Hampshire Market Lambs. Here at YSE this weekend, we're pretty privileged to have a couple national regional shows here. The first one we just started was the Great Lakes Regional Dorset Show. Is going to be hosted here at YSE this year. I believe it was here last year. Also, starting with the Hampshires, we have a Hampshire Showdown show. This is for the juniors to earn points, and they get some extra added awards by participating in the Hampshire Junior Association and all of that. So we will have some extra things as we're going on some of these based on the national regional shows we have here this weekend. This will be that third and final call. Third and final call for Class 7 Hampshire Market Lambs. Third and final call, Class 7. We'll also make this a first call for Class 8 Hampshire Market Lambs. First call, Class 8 Hampshire Market Lambs.
I think another really nice class of Hampshire Market Lambs and a great way to start out our division. The young lady's ewe lamb that wins does so pretty handedly in my mind, just from a body shape, touch, and tone, width, and just balance standpoint as you set up from the side of her. I think that one's very, very neat in terms of her look. I'm not going to tell you she's perfect because I do think she needs to be redesigned in terms of her shoulder, not only the angle and the way it lays into her. But I still think that's getting nitpicky because propped up, the young lady does an incredible job getting her to look the part. My decision in my mind was between 2 and 3 here, and I do think the young lady here in second. I love that one's silhouette, and in my mind, it's just build that splits it. I think that ewe lamb's neck is just so neat, and I know she's really, really raw and green in terms of her condition, and I think some added condition would help fill her out and smooth her out, but I do think that one's probably the most progressive in terms of her width, just back to her pin set and true stifle shape, but I do get that the young lady here in 3, that Wether's just got a notch more condition, just a notch smoother in terms of his look and finish. That's a really kind of heavy structured, dense made kind of one. I just get a notch more concerned in terms of his build and angulation off either end. Just want to level that one out in terms of his top line. The young lady's ewe lamb that comes here in 4, I think one that's got some muscle shape and expression. Another one that I think's really raw in terms of her condition and just stage of the game. I like that one's length and femininity. I just don't know if she's truly busted open enough just in terms of her chest width coming and going, but I still think a nice kind of late maturing sheep. And the young man that rounds out our class, definitely one not short on any terms of mass and power. That one's really, really bold and shapely. I just want to lengthen that one out in terms of his maturity pattern. Just gets a notch more concerning there. But I do think a high quality class of sheep for these young kids. Go ahead and put your hands together.
Placings on Class 6 Hampshire Market Lambs. First place, and congratulations goes to Olivia Porter. Second place, and first place Hampshire Showdown goes to Emerson Yandell. Third place to Sawyer Bulis. Fourth place and second place in the Hampshire Showdown goes to Carson Yandell. Place to Brentley Leafview. In the ring now, we're ready for Class 7 Hampshire Market Lambs. These weigh from 122 to 129. And let's make that second call for Class 8 Hampshire Market Lambs. Second call, Class 8. Also, Hampshire exhibitors, if you are first or second in showdown, we need you to stay ringside and ready also so that we can pick a champion showdown market lamb if that is not selected from the YSE show. Hampshire exhibitors, this will be that third and final call for Class 8, Hampshire Market Lamb. Third and final call, Class 8.
I think we quick kicked the quality up in this Hampshire class and just the depth all the way through. I think there's a lot of pieces in them and all the way through that you can kind of tie into. For me, the young man's ewe lamb that wins just kind of blends things together in the most complete package. I love that ewe lamb silhouette as you stop off to the side in terms of her neck and just how skinny it is and ties in right. And that ewe's incredible in terms of her lower body balance and just depth and sweep. In motion. Maybe she's just a notch tight in her rear leg off every now and then, but I do really, really love that ewe lamb silhouette, her hide texture, and her touch. In my mind, it got closer between 2 and 3 because I think they're very different in terms of their type and kind. The young man that's second, that Wether's look is incredible from the side. I think he's got a lot of pieces in my mind. One that's really tall-shouldered, long-necked, really good in terms of his spine. My question is he just bold enough in terms of his rib cage? Does that one tie in good enough in terms of his loin? But I still think one that's got some nice future in him. The young man that comes out here in 3. This one follows the type and kind of my winner, the closest. I just have a notch few more issues with her as well. I think that one's hips a notch too short. Her loin breaks too much in motion. One that I think runs downhill a notch more in motion. But really love this ewe lamb's bulk, center mass, just spread and dimension from a general standpoint. Young man that comes out here in 4. I think this ewe lamb's got a great touch on her, really good in terms of her rack, really lean in terms of her shape, and I still think one that maybe balances up okay as we step off to the side of her, just one that gets a notch plainer in terms of her look, isn't as good in terms of her lower body balance and dimension, but I still think a really nice touch and sheep for the young man. The young lady that comes out here in 5th, I think that one's a really heavy muscled kind of Wether, got a lot of bulk and dimension and density of feature, maybe one that just gets a notch shorter fronted and coarser in terms of his shoulder, and the young man that rounds out our class, I still think a really productive centered kind of Wether that's got some muscle, just gets a notch plainer in terms of his shape and his look. My compliments to all these kids.
Placings on Class 7 Hampshire Market Lamb. First place and first place Hampshire Showdown goes to Jackson Ritter. Second place to Grayson Poe. Third place and second place in Hampshire Showdown goes to Noah Maddox. Fourth place and third place Hampshire Showdown goes to Benton Yandel. Fifth place to Ella Bulis and sixth place to Waylon Jester. Entering the ring now, we are ready for Class 8 Hampshire Market Lambs. These weigh from 131 to 155. Lincoln Market Lamb exhibitors, this will be your first call for that Class 9 Lincoln Market Lamb class. First call, Class 9. Hampshire exhibitors, if you were first or second in the class, we need to have you ringside and ready. At the conclusion of Class 8, we will be selecting our champion and reserve champion Hampshire Market Lamb. With that being said, we also will need from Class 6, the second place Lamb, first place Showdown from Emerson Yandel, and the fourth place Market Lamb, second place Showdown from Carson Yandel. And then we will also need that third place Market Lamb, second place in the Showdown from Noah Maddox from Class 7. Lincoln Market Lamb exhibitors, this will be your second call for that Class 9 Lincoln Market Lamb to the makeup ring. Second call, Class 9 Lincoln Market Lambs.
think an awesome class of Hampshires, and I truly mean it when I say there's quality all the way through into the young man that finishes out our class. And for me, I think the two that have the least faults are the young man that surface. For me, kind of certain differences between them. And honestly, it's just personal preference that allow me for the young man in white to win. I like his Wether's added elevation and look up front. I think that one's a notch taller shouldered, ties in his neck a notch better. One that's maybe a notch thicker in terms of the circumference of his rack or his neck. One that's a notch plainer in terms of the shape of his rack. But I think off to the side, I just like that Wether's balance, elevation, and look from the side a notch better. That's taking nothing away from the young man in second because, man, does he have a stout and powerful ewe lamb that's still level in terms of her spine and good off either end in terms of her flexibility and motion. For me, I just think this one gets a notch quicker maturing, a notch shorter coupled just for my personal preference, but I do think this ewe lamb's bulk and center mass and just width is very, very good. The young ladies that come out here in three, another one that I think super fresh and hydrated in terms of her shape, one that's just got a lot of quality as you step off of her. For me, I just have more issues with her shoulder. Not only is it just a notch bigger and straighter, I just think the length of her blade's a notch longer relative to the two ahead of her, but one I still think that's really good in terms of her height and her touch. The young lady that comes out here in four, I think she's got a nice profiling Wether when he wants to cooperate, runs uphill, good in terms of his spine, good about his neck attachment. Lay your hands on him. That one's just got too much condition for me today. Question the true mass. Young man that comes out here in fifth, I think he's got a neat looking kind of Wether from the side in motion, like his levelness and his look up front. Maybe one we just need to give him more true mass, not enough in terms of its pin set and his stifle. Young man that comes out here in six, I think a really heavy muscled, bold bodied kind of Wether, just gets a notch plainer and coarser. And the young man's ewe lamb that rounds out our class, I still think has some shape and touch, maybe one that's just a notch greener today, not to stack up with the rest of them in this class. But my compliments to all of these kids.
Placings on Class 8 Hampshire Market Lamb. First place, congratulations to Jake Jordan. Second place and first place showdown goes to Jude Parker. Third place, Ainsley Porter. Fourth place, Laney Swindell. Fifth place and second place in the showdown, Ty Thorson. Sixth place and third in the showdown, Sam Musterman. And seventh place to Brock Kessler. We are ready to select our champion and reserve champion Hampshire Market Lamb. First place out of Class 6 is Olivia Porter. Second place was Emerson Yandell. First place out of Class 7 was Jackson Ritter. And second place is Grayson Poe. And just selected first place out of Class 8, Jake Jordan. Second place to Jude Parker. We need to make sure that we have Ty Thorson ringside just in case we need you for showdown champion or reserve. Lincoln Exhibitors, this is your third and final call for that Class 9 Lincoln Market Lamb. Let's go ahead and make a first call for that Class 10 Montdale Market Lamb. First call, Class 10 Montdale Market Lamb.
think this has been an awesome drive. Hampshire market lambs, and I think there's 4 of them out here that kind of surface in my mind, and maybe sliding through them and just seeing where the parts and pieces of them land. For me, I think there's one that maybe surfaces just a notch better in terms of being my champion, just from an overall complete standpoint, look, elevation from the side, backing it up with plenty of width and touch. For me, it gets a notch closer in terms of reserve, one that maybe really good in terms of hide, freshness, touch. Talked about her shoulder and class. Another one that's just incredibly good from a stoutness perspective. We questioned her maturity pattern. For me, the young man in white out of our heavyweight class will be your champion. Young lady from our lightweight class will be reserve.
Your champion, Hampshire Market Lamb, is exhibited by Jake Jordan, and your reserve champion is exhibited by Olivia Porter. We do need to select our showdown champion. So from class 6, we need first place was Emerson Yandel. Second place is Carson Yandel. From class 7, first place is Jackson Ritter. Second place is Noah Maddox. And from class 8, first place is Jude Parker, and second place is Ty Thorson. Montdale exhibitors, let's make this your second call for that class 10. Let's also make a first call on class 11, natural colored market lamb. First call, class 11, natural colored market lambs.
I think an awesome of our registered division, and we drop them out here, and there's still 2 out here in my mind that were in contention just for our champion market lambing in general. For me, I think it's kind of splitting hairs between them. Today, I think the young man out of our heavyweights class added mass and power suits me just a notch better. I think the young man out of our second class will be reserve.
Your champion Hampshire Showdown Market Lamb is exhibited by Jude Parker. And your reserve champion is exhibited by Jackson Ritter. Let's give all of our Hampshire exhibitors a round of applause as they are exiting the ring, please. Breed champions, also just a reminder, make sure, I know Emily's got somebody manning the backdrop, so make sure you're getting breed champion photos of all of these market lambs and breeding ewes and rams through the weekend. Entering the ring now, we are ready for Class 9, Lincoln Market Lambs. Class 9, there are 2 entries weighing 80 pounds and 95. Montdale exhibitors, this will be that third and final call for Class 10 Montdale Market Lambs. And let's go ahead and make that second call for Class 11 Natural Colored Market Lambs.
I think a nice pair of Lincoln Market lambs, and maybe there's some differences between them. I think they're comparable from a muscle standpoint. For me, I think the young lady's white sheep, just up front in terms of the way he ties his neck in a notch better, and just the angle of his shoulder in motion just allows him to be a notch more comfortable and a notch more elegant and arrogant about his head. I do think the young man's blue ewe lamb who comes here in second, just a notch deeper in terms of his body, maybe one that's got a notch too much condition today, one that just gets a bit bolder and straighter in terms of her shoulder, but I do think a nice pair for these two. My compliments to both of you guys.
Placings on Class 9 Lincoln Market Lambs, first place and champion Lincoln Market Lamb, Adeline Jester. Second place and reserve champion Lincoln Market Lamb, exhibited by Waylon Jester. In the ring now, we have a single entry Montdale Market Lamb class. Natural colored exhibitors, this will be your third and final call for Class 11. First call for Class 12. First call, Class 12, natural colored market lambs. Third and final call for Class 11, natural colored market lambs. Also, exhibitors, showmanship classes have been posted on the Showman app. If for whatever reason you do not see your name listed, show up based on your birth date to that appropriate class. Just show up to ringside and we will get you squared away if you do not see your name listed in the Showman app under your correct showmanship division.
Only one entry in our Montdale division, and I think these young two are doing a great job of getting this thing shown. Great example of team showmanship, just working and communicating with each other. And I still think their weather's nice in terms of just his practicality and depth of body. One that's still level in terms of his spine and got some shape and touch. I think a nice project for these two. My compliments to both of you.
Placings on your Class 10 Montdale Market Lamb. First place, champion Montdale Market Lamb, exhibited by Benton Yandel. In the ring now, we are ready for Class Test 1. In the ring now, we have Class 11 natural colored market lambs. These weigh from 116 to 128. Class 12, this will be your second call for that Class 12 natural colored market lamb. Second call, Class 12. Let's go ahead and make this your third and final call for that Class 12 natural colored market lamb class. Third and final call, Class 12. Just a reminder over here in the north section or south section of the show barn area, Sherry Sutton's over there with chiropractic services and MagnaWave services. She's also raffling off an Equivibe table. It is $50 per ticket. She is only selling 50 tickets. So you have a 1 in 50 chance of winning, and she is donating a portion of that back to YSE. So this could be the cheapest Equivibe table that you have ever bought. If you would like one of those or a chance to win, go see her over there and enter into that drawing.
I think a nice class of natural market lambs to go ahead and start our natties. And I think the one that wins out of the gate, just like his look and silhouette from the side, lay your hands on this thing. And he's monster in terms of his rack shape and loin. That one's really, really good. In terms of his hide, I just think his silhouette's very nice. In motion, I do think maybe that's the shorter fronted sheep that's a bit straighter in terms of his shoulder. But that's just nitpicky on a really, really good touch and good hided kind of sheep. The one that comes here in second's definitely an upgrade in terms of the front part of his skeleton, just his height of shoulder and the way he ties a longer neck in a notch higher. For me, I just don't think he's as opened up in terms of his rib cage, not as big in terms of his rack, but I do really like his added length and extension to complement our winner. And the young lady's darker fibered sheep that rounds out our class. Another one that I think's got some length and extension, maybe one that just doesn't come with the same kind of muscle mass as the two ahead of him, but I still think a nice profiling sheep for the young lady. My compliments to all these kids.
Placings on Class 11 Natural Colored Market Lamb. First place, and congratulations to Ellie Tompkins. Second place to Caitlin Shakel. And third place to Janice Leafew. Entering the ring now, we are ready for Class 12 Natural Colored Market Lambs. These range from 135 to 146. North Country Cheviot Exhibitors. North Country Cheviot Exhibitors, this is your first call for Class 13 North Country Cheviots. First call, Class 13. North Country Cheviot Exhibitors, this will be that second call for that Class 13 North Country Cheviot Market Lamb. Second call, Class 13 North Country Cheviot Market Lamb.
I think we've got another nice class of naturals that will just go ahead and keep it simple. The young lady's Wether that wins this class does so really easily in my mind. That one's wicked cool in terms of the shallowness of his body and just his look from the side. I think that one of this class is probably the narrowest and the lightest muscled, but I still think one that's way comparable in terms of his shape and his freshness and just his look from the side. I think like our last class winner, maybe one that's more limited in the front part of his skeleton, while his neck's slimmer and his shoulders a notch higher. I don't know that it all just ties in and works the best in motion, but I do still think one that you love in terms of his shallowness of body and silhouette from the side. Young man that comes out here in second, I think he's got a really really bold-bodied, kind of stout, productive Wether. It's got a lot of mass and muscle. Maybe one that just gets a notch deeper in terms of his chest, a notch straighter in terms of his hock. The young lady's ewe lamb that rounds out our class, another one that I think's really productive in terms of her center, got some mass and dimension. Maybe for me, one we just want to freshen up a notch in terms of her condition and lower body balance.
Placings on that Class 12 Natural Colored Market Lamb. First place, and congratulations, goes to Katie Sparks. Second place goes to Noah Maddox, and third place to Sawyer Bulis. We are ready to select our champion and reserve champion Natural Colored Market Lamb. First place out of Class 11 was Ellie Tompkins, and second was Caitlin Shakel. First place out of just selected Class 12 was Katie Sparks, and second place to Noah Maddox. North Country Cheviot exhibitors, this is your third and final call. Third and final call for Class 13 North Country Cheviot Market Lambs.
I think an awesome division of natties, and I'm gonna just tell you flat out, it comes down between your two class winners, and honestly, I don't think they could be more different in terms of their type and kind and just kind of what they bring to the table. I'll let you know what I'm thinking. Young lady out of our first class, think that Wether from a just genuine mass and shape perspective is very good. Don't question how genuine that one is in terms of his forerib and his pin set. One maybe at the end of the day is just a notch plainer in terms of his look up front, but I still think proportions very well from this side. Young lady out of our second class, one that's extremely neat from this side, radical in terms of the shallowness of his body and chest and blade, one that progresses back into an incredibly big pin set. For me, my question's just if he's as genuine and bold in terms of his rib cage and body shape for me today. I just think it's splitting hairs between them. For me, as I step off to the side of him, just love the silhouette of the heavyweight. He'll be your champion. Lightweight will be reserve.
And your champion Natural Colored Market Lamb, congratulations, goes to Katie Sparks. And your reserve champion is exhibited by Ellie Tompkins. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 13, North Country Cheviot Market Lambs, Oxford Market Lambs. We have one entry. Let's be making our way to the makeup ring. This is your first call for that class, and let's go ahead and make a first call for the Polled Dorset Market Lamb class. Oxford exhibitors, let's make this your second call for that Oxford Market Lamb class. And Polled Dorset exhibitors, let's make this your second call for that Polled Dorset Market Lamb class.
I think we've got an awesome Cheviot division, and the one that wins, I think, does some cool things within the breed. Just in talk about his genuine stoutness and boldness of body. I think that one's really good in terms of a hide texture standpoint, and still in terms of a foot size and feature. I think that one's very, very good. Young man does a great job getting him presented. For me, it gets a notch closer between second and third. I do think the young man's Wether here in second's a notch bigger, a notch softer in terms of his body. Just got a notch more true shape, and when you lay your hands on him. And the young man that rounds out our class, well, I think that one's a notch leaner, got some length and extension and levelness in terms of his top line. For me, just gets the flattest in terms of his body, doesn't have the same kind of shape, but a nice class of them all the way through. My compliments to these kids.
First place and champion North Country Cheviot Market Lamb exhibited by Caden Murphy. Second place and reserve champion is exhibited by Braden Balmer. And third place also exhibited by Braden Balmer. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 14 Oxford Market Lamb. There's only one entry in this class. Polled Dorset exhibitors, this is your third and final call. First call for Class 16 Shropshire Market Lambs. First call, Class 16 Shropshire Market Lambs.
a single entry out here, but one I think balances up really well because the young lady can get him stuck very, very good. Led this one in terms of his hide texture and his touch and his freshness. In terms of his shape, I think you step off of that one, and his lower body balance is very good. For me, maybe just not the best in terms of his hip and his hind leg in motion. Just want to settle his spine ever so slightly, but really like the added smoothness, this one, and the young lady's ability to get him presented.
First place and champion Oxford Market Lamb is exhibited by Madeline Crouch. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 14, Polled Dorset Market Lambs. There are 2 entries weighing 119 and 130. Shropshire Market Lambs, this is your second call for Class 16 and first call for Class 17. Also, like we talked about earlier, this is the Polled Dorset class. This weekend, we are also hosting the Great Lakes Regional Junior Dorset Show. That includes Dorset Advantage, Polled Dorset, and Horned Dorset. So if you have any questions about anything involving the Dorset breed, make sure that you see Miss Michelle Torrance. She would be more than happy to answer your questions about the Dorset Association. Shropshire Market Lamb exhibitors, this will be your third and final call for that Class 16 Shropshire Market Lamb class and second call for Class 17 Shropshire Market Lamb class.
I think a really nice pair of Dorset Market Lambs, and honestly, it boils down and gets close in my mind between them. For me, it's kind of splitting hairs and the nitpicky things. The young lady's ewe lamb that goes ahead and wins, I just think is a notch fresher when you lay your hands on her, just in terms of her touch and her condition. Step back off from the side, and I think she's a notch shorter in terms of her blade. Maybe one that gets a notch shorter in terms of her hip. At the same time, not as attractive in the set to her rear leg is our second, but like that ewe lamb's added freshness, the thinness in terms of her neck. The young man that comes out here in second, I think one that's really big pinned, got a lot of stifle shape and mass. One at the same time just gets a notch plainer in terms of his condition, maybe just a more forward in terms of his breastplate, a notch longer in terms of his blade, but one I think in motion just loved the length and flex of his rear leg. Nice pair. My compliments to both these kids.
First place and champion Polled Dorset Market Lamb, congratulations, goes to Harper Nichols. Second place and reserve champion Polled Dorset Market Lamb goes to Caden Murphy. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 16 Shropshire Market Lambs. Class 16 Shropshire Market Lambs. We should have 2 entries in that class. Shropshire exhibitors, this will be that 3rd and final call for that Shropshire Market Lamb Class 17. 3rd and final for Class 17. Let's go ahead and make a first call on that Class 18 Southdown Market Lambs. Also, we'd like to take an opportunity to introduce our 2025 Hancock County Princess, here to help with some ribbon duties today, Miss Ava Stevenson. Let's give her a nice Youth Sheep Expo welcome and her volunteering to help in the ring today.
Nice pair of market lambs, and I think both the young men do a great job getting them shown. For me, the one that wins just does so from a shape perspective. I think this ewe balances up better from this side because she's shallower in terms of her chest, leveler in terms of her spine, and man, when you step in behind her, not only is she just really bubbly in terms of her rack shape, but she progresses back really, really big in terms of her pin set. For me, though, I do think the young man here in second, he's got a ewe lamb that's just got more true width and dimension just from the side. I think that one's bolder in terms of her center. At the same time, I just think it's a notch plainer, a notch deeper in terms of her chest, maybe one that's a notch more coordinated in motion. But a nice pair. My compliments to both the young men.
Placings on Class 16 Shropshire Market Lamb. First place and congratulations goes to Brock Kessler. Second place goes to Marshall Stone. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 17 Shropshire Market Lambs. These weigh from 139 to 152. Southdown exhibitors, this will be your second call for that Class 18 Southdown Market Lamb. Second call, Class 18 Southdown Market Lamb. We can also go ahead and make a first call on that Southdown Market Lamb Class 19. So first call on Class 19.
I think another pair of Shrop Market lambs that just come together logically in my mind. I think the young man that wins does so just easily. This one's really, really high quality, props up really, really nice from the side and just so good in terms of his touch, really, really big as you step in behind him. I think the one that follows him is still good and practical in terms of his kind and his body, just doesn't come with the same kind of look or mass or dimension, but a nice pair. We'll bring the other two back for contention.
Placings on that Class 17 Shropshire Market Lamb class. First place, and congratulations, goes to Jake Jordan. Second place and goes to Janice Leafew. We are ready to select that champion and reserve champion Shropshire Market Lamb. First place out of Class 16 was Brock Kessler. Second place was Marshall Stone. And first place out of 17 was Jake Jordan. And second place was Janice Leafew. Southdown exhibitors, let's be bringing that Class 18. This is your third and final call on Class 18 and second call on Class 19. Marshall Stone, we are missing that second place Shropshire Market Lamb in our Shropshire Market Lamb drive. Marshall Stone.
I think another high quality division of Shropshires, and just as the division falls together really logically, in my mind, I think there's just a really, really good one to go ahead and win, and a nice one to fall in second. Young man out of our heavyweight class will be your champion. Young man on lightweight will be reserve.
Champion Shropshire Market Lamb is exhibited by Jake Jordan. And the reserve champion is exhibited by Brock Kessler. Let's give our Southdown Market Lamb exhibitors a round of applause as they're exiting the ring, or Southdown Shropshire Market Lamb exhibitors. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 18. Class 18 Southdown Market Lambs. These Market Lambs weigh 106 and 112. Let's go ahead and make a third and final call on that Class 19 Southdown Market Lamb class. Third and final call, Class 19. Okay, Waylon Jester. Waylon Jester, if you could come to the announcer stand, please. Waylon Jester. Ainsley Porter, you have a sheep in the next class, Class 19. You need to be getting to your pins to get them to the makeup ring. Ainsley Porter. Suffolk exhibitors, Suffolk Market Lamb exhibitors, this will be your first call for that Class 20 Suffolk Market Lambs to the makeup ring. First call, Class 20 to the makeup ring.
I think a nice player of Southdown's out here, and maybe it gets a little difficult because they're both females and still kind of look like ewes, but just kind of evaluating which ones are the better sheep and still got the shape and muscularity to be market lambs. I think the young lady that wins does that. Not only is she a notch squarer in terms of her shape and just wider throughout, I think as you step off from her, just the levelness of her spine and and their lower body symmetry is just a notch better and favorable in my opinion. I do like the ewe lamb here in second, just in terms of her shallowness. It strikes me just a notch fresher at times. For me, I just don't think she's got the same kind of shape and width as our winner, one that maybe needs to be picked up a notch in terms of her chest. But I do think a nice pair of Southdowns to start out our division.
Placings on that Class 19 Southdown Market Lamb, first place, and congratulations to Annabella Jessup. And second place to Olivia Porter. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 19 Southdown Market Lambs. There are 2 entries in that class, 125 and 133. Suffolk Market Lamb exhibitors, this will be that second call for Class 20. Second call, Class 20, Suffolk Market Lambs. Just a reminder, breed champions, reserve breed champions, make sure you make your way over to the backdrop here in the south section of the show ring building where ring 2's at. There's a backdrop over there. Emily Adcock has somebody manning that backdrop. We need to make sure we get pictures of the breed champions and reserve breed champions. Also, Emily Adcock Photography and Design is the official photographer of Youth Sheep Expo. Make sure you check out their website, like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter and wherever else they're at, and make sure you're buying the photographs from them. That's how they're making their money, folks. Buy the photographs so that way they don't have the watermarks, and use those photos that you're buying.
I think another nice pair of Southdowns, and I know we're in the heavyweights, but for me, I think both of them are pushing just a notch too much condition. But look beyond that, and I still think they're both comparable from a muscle standpoint. Just as you step up to the side, I think the ewe lamb that the young lady's driving just balances up a notch better in terms of her chest floor and the way it relates to her flank. Her neck ties in better and is just leveler in terms of her spine. And I do think that female is just a notch better in terms of her hide texture. The young man that comes here in second, though, I do think that Wether's better in motion just in terms of his flexibility off either end. I just think that one gets plainer in the front third of his body in terms of his neck, the way he ties it in, and then the depth of his breastplate. But I do still think a good-bodied, kind of wide, muscular Wether, for me, just one that's plainer relative to his class winner. My compliments to both these kids.
Placings on Class 19 Southdown Market Lamb class, first place, and congratulations goes to Ainsley Porter. Second place to Braxton Green. We are ready to select your champion and reserve champion Southdown Market Lamb. First place out of Class 18 was Annabella Jessup. Second place out of 18 was Olivia Porter. First place out of Class 19 was Ainsley Porter. Second place was Braxton Green. Let's make this third and final call for Suffolk Market Lambs. Let's also make a first call for Class 21 Texel Market Lambs and Class 22 Tunis Market Lambs. First call for Texel and Tunis Market Lambs. Waylon Jester, if you will please make your way to the announcer's table here in the show ring. We have something here for you. Waylon Jester.
I know we only had 4 in our Southdown division, but I do still think there's a good amount of quality out here for my liking. But I will say there is one that just kind of stands out to be our champion just from a freshness, balance, muscularity standpoint. And from there, it gets a notch closer in terms of reserve. I do think there's one that's just a notch better from a freshness standpoint and just a market standpoint. For me, the 2 out of your first class will stay together as champion and reserve.
Your champion Southdown Market Lamb exhibited by Annabella Jessup. And your reserve champion Southdown Market Lamb exhibited by Olivia Porter. Let's give our Southdown exhibitors a round of applause, please. Entering the ring now, we are ready for Class 20 Suffolk Market Lambs. Class 20 Suffolk Market Lambs, there are 2 entries in this class, weighing 103 and 155. Let's make this a second call for that Class 21 and 22 Texel and Tunis Market Lambs. We can also make a first call for that Valet Black Nose Market Lamb class with 1 entry. Over here in the exhibit hall building where everybody checked in at, there is a sign-up sheet. There is an old-timer showmanship. You nominate someone. It's a $5 buy-in. It's a $20 buy-out. So $5 to nominate somebody, $20 to get your name off the list. So anybody on the fairgrounds is fair game to enter them, and then it's up to whoever gets entered to buy their way out. And money is going to Evans Scholarship. The money earned off of the Old Timer Showmanship is going to the Youth Sheep Expo Scholarship Fund.
I think a really nice class is Suffolk Market Lambs, but the young lady that wins, I think she's got a really nice one, and I know maybe a ewe lamb and maybe more ewe lamb oriented, but I think one in terms of foot size and feature, just body density, build, balance, everything from the side. I think this one balances up very good, one that intrigues me from a breed standpoint. The young man that comes here in second, like that ewe lamb's added elevation or added thinness of neck, and just length. One maybe just doesn't have the same kind of mass and power, needs a few more groceries as the time moves on, but I do think a nice pair. My compliments to both these kids.
Placings on your Suffolk Market Lamb. First place, champion Suffolk Market Lamb, congratulations, goes to Ella Bulis. Second place and reserve champion goes to Balin Kennedy. Entering the ring now, we have Class 21 Texel Market Lambs. There is 1 entry in this class. So we have several single entry classes here, so let's make sure we have our Tunis Market Lamb ringside and ready. Let's go ahead and get that valet up here. White-faced crosses. This is going to be your first call for both classes 24 and 25. There's only 2 classes of white-faced crosses. There's only 1 class of black-faced cross market lambs. So let's go ahead and make a first call for white-faced and black-faced cross market lambs to be ringside and ready. When we get ready to select our champion, grand and reserve grand market lamb and our 5 overall, we will be wanting breed champions and reserve breed champions ringside.
Man, does this young lady bring us a nice Texel market lamb, and obviously I'd expect him to be heavy muscled just for the breed type, but I think this one's just back shape, and the way he lays it into his skeleton's very, very good. Just step off of him, and the fact that he can balance that well, his lower body's still in check, his spine's level's very, very good. I think the young lady does an incredible job getting him shown as well. My compliments to her.
Champion Texel Market Lamb, first place, and congratulations goes to Alexis Cook. Entering the ring now, we have Class 22 Tunis Market Lambs. This lamb weighs 127. Emma Chandler, we need your Valet Black Nose Market Lamb to the makeup ring, please. Emma Chandler, we need that Valet to the makeup ring. Let's make a second call on both whiteface cross classes and the blackface cross class. Let's make a second call on whiteface crosses and blackface crosses to the makeup ring.
The young lady brings us a really nice Tunis market lamb, just from a breed representation. I was surprised to see one out here that hits me this hard, just in terms of his look from the side. I don't know where she found a Tunis with that size of feet and legs, but it's kind of impressive. I still think this one's good in terms of his body shape and his mass. I really like this one for the young lady.
Your champion in first place, Tunis Market Lamb, congratulations to Riggin Klotz. In the ring now, we have Class 23, our Valet Black Nose Market Lamb. There's one entry in this class. Whiteface cross exhibitors, this will be your third and final call. Blackface cross exhibitors, let's be making your way. This will be your third and final call for that blackface cross market lamb class.
Only one entry in our valet division, and I do think one that balances up really neat from the side in terms of her lower body balance, the way she ties her head and neck in. I do think a nice one that the young lady gets shown pretty well. My compliments to her.
First place in champion Valet market lamb goes to Emma Chandler. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 24. Whiteface cross market lambs. There's one entry in this class weighing 97 pounds.
Another single entry to start our white-faced cross division, but I do think the young lady brings us a nice one with some quality. I think her shape just grabs my attention the first time. I know she's a notch greener in terms of her condition, but I could imagine how much mass she'll accumulate as time goes on. I do think one that balances okay from the side. At times maybe wants to drop her neck a little bit lower out of the front side of her shoulder and get a notch awkward in terms of her rear leg, but I think that's getting nitpicky because when the young lady gets her stuck, she balances up neat from the side. My compliments to her.
Placing in class 24, white-face cross, first place, and congratulations goes to Lena May. In the ring now, we're ready for class 25, white-face cross market lambs. These weigh 129 to 141. Black-face cross market lambs exhibitors, this is your third and final call for that class 26 black-face cross market lamb. Just like to take another minute and introduce some Hancock County Fair royalty that we have helping us today. The 2025 Hancock County Fair 4-H Fair Queen, Miss Addison Buckley, standing right here. Let's give her a warm welcome and thank her for helping us here today in the ring. Attention in the barns. We are supposed to, by the schedule, start showmanship here at 12:30, and it's looking like we're probably going to be after that. So once we complete the weather dam portion of the show, it'll be 15 minutes after that we will start showmanship. 15 minutes after the conclusion of the weather dam show with novice showmanship first.
I think an interesting pair in our heavyweight white-faced cross division, and I definitely think it's a pair because there's differences between them, but I'm also really hesitant on things between them as well. And I know their white-face influence comes from different places, as I can tell, and so kind of evaluating where that lays in. Just as I step off of them, I think the young ladies just balance bounces up a notch better in terms of his height of shoulder, the way his neck ties in, the shallowness in terms of his chest. One maybe though, just step in behind him, and I don't know if he's as bold and genuine in terms of his forerib, just not as big in terms of his pin set and his stifle shape. But from the side, that's where I prefer this one. And then in motion, I just think he uses his hock a notch more square. The young man that comes here in second, I'm going to guess he's got more Southdown influence, and that maybe shows in terms of his chest and his front end, not as neat in terms of his breastplate and his blade length, maybe one that's a notch shorter in terms of his neck. I do think that one's way better in terms of his rib cage and his body shape, way better in terms of his pin set. Maybe one we've got a notch full, just going away. I think he's way outside of himself, and that just makes me a notch more hesitant on him today. But I do think a really nice, high-quality kind of pair. My compliments to both these kids.
First place and congratulations goes to Katie Sparks, and second place goes to Jake Jordan. We are ready to select our champion and reserve champion whiteface cross market lamb. First place from class 24 was Lena May, and first place out of just selected class 25 is Katie Sparks. Second place was to Jake Jordan. Market lamb exhibitors, if you had a breed champion or reserve breed champion, let's be making your way to the makeup ring. Breed champions and reserve breed champions, be making your way to the makeup ring.
Well, I think we've had a super fun whiteface cross division, and honestly, I think one that's been the highest quality top to bottom. For me, though, I do think it comes a little bit logically in my mind. I know I decided a while between the two in the last class. I'll just keep them together for champion and reserve.
Entering the ring now, we are ready for that single class of blackface cross market lambs. Your champion whiteface cross market lamb was exhibited by Katie Sparks, and your reserve champion was exhibited by Lena May. champion and the reserve breed champion market lambs. If you had a breed champion or reserve breed champion, you need to be making your way to the makeup ring, please. Breed champion and reserve breed champion market lambs.
I think an incredibly high quality class of black-faced cross market lambs, and I mean that wholeheartedly because I think all of these have pieces and parts and just read like quality kind of sheep. Just out here, I think there's one that suits me a notch best, just in terms of type and kind, elevation, length of neck, height of shoulder, levelness in terms of his spine, and just the shallowness in terms of his chest. The young lady's Wether that wins the class suits me the best from that perspective. I will tell you that he's got too much set to his hind leg, and it makes me maybe question that, but I do think just type and kind, that one suits me the best. The young man that comes here in second, I think he's got a really, really muscular, bold-bodied, kind of powerful ewe lamb that still runs uphill. For me, I think what's at her fault today is her maturity pattern just reads too much like a ewe. That one's deeper in terms of her body, one that's not shorter fronted. Just need to smooth her out in terms of her loin as well. And the young lady's Wether that rounds out our class, I think a really, really round-bodied, good-heighted, good touching kind of Wether. I just think one maybe a bit shorter fronted, runs downhill in motion, and need to correct him in terms of his loin edge, but I do think a high-quality trio to win our black-face crosses.
Placings on Class 26 Blackface Cross Market Lambs champion and first place Blackface Cross. Congratulations goes to Olivia Porter. Second place and reserve champion goes to Jake Jordan, and third place to Ainsley Porter. That concludes this portion of our Market Lamb Show. We are ready to select our champion and reserve champion Market Lambs. We need to make sure we have all of those breed champions ringside and ready. Emerson Yandel, we need your Cotswold Market Lamb to the makeup ring. Emerson Yandel, we need your Cotswold Market Lamb to the makeup ring. believe we are ready. So let's introduce our breed champions. Our champion baby doll Southdown Market Lamb, exhibited by Owen Atwater. Our champion Cotswold Market Lamb, exhibited by Emerson Yandel. Our champion Dorper Market Lamb, exhibited by Vivian Stephenson. Our reserve champion, also exhibited by Vivian Stephenson. Our champion Dorset Advantage Market Lamb, exhibited by Harper Nichols. Our reserve champion Dorset Advantage Market Lamb, exhibited by Owen Atwater. Our champion Hampshire Market Lamb, exhibited by Jake Jordan. Our reserve champion Hampshire Market Lamb, exhibited by Olivia Porter. Our champion Lincoln Market Lamb, exhibited by Adeline Jester. And our reserve champion, exhibited by Waylon Jester. Our champion Montdale, exhibited by Benton Yandel. Our champion Natural Colored, exhibited by Katie Sparks. Our reserve champion Natural Colored, exhibited by Ellie Tompkins. Our champion North Country Cheviot, exhibited by Caden Murphy. Our reserve champion North Country Cheviot, exhibited by Braden Balmer. Our champion Oxford, exhibited by Madeline Crouch. Our champion Polled Dorset, exhibited by Harper Nichols. And our reserve champion Polled Dorset, exhibited by Caden Murphy. Your champion Shropshire Market Lamb, exhibited by Jake Jordan. And our reserve champion, exhibited by Brock Kessler. Champion Southdown Market Lamb, exhibited by Annabella Jessup. And our reserve champion, exhibited by Olivia Porter. Our champion Suffolk Market Lamb, exhibited by Ella Bulis. The reserve champion Suffolk, exhibited by Balin Kennedy. Champion Texel, exhibited by Alexis Cook. Champion Tunis, exhibited by Riggin Klotz. Champion Valet Blacknose, exhibited by Emma Chandler. Champion Whiteface Cross, exhibited by Katie Sparks. Reserve champion Whiteface Cross, exhibited by Lena May. And the champion Blackface Cross, exhibited by Olivia Porter. And your reserve champion Blackface Cross, exhibited by Jake Jordan. Let's give our Market Lamb exhibitors a round of applause, please, and thank them for bringing these sheep out here today. I'm going to take a minute and introduce our judge for our Market Lamb and Weather Dam show. Kyla Minen is from Walton, Indiana. She grew up raising and showing sheep with her family. She went to junior college at Joliet Junior College in Illinois and earned academic All-American honors on the livestock judging team. She just graduated from Kansas State and is proud to have been on the national champion livestock judging team. Kyla is now starting as the livestock judging coach at Joliet Junior College. Let's give Kyla a round of applause and thank her for working through the Market Lambs and the Weather Dams here in just a little bit. At the conclusion of the Market Lamb show, we will give everybody just a little bit of a break, let the top 5 go over to the backdrop and get photos before we start into the Market Lamb or the Weather Dam show. So we will give them just a little bit before we start into the Weather Dam show, let the top 5 get photos so that we can move on into that next division. those of you that are all standing here ringside, just a reminder that here in the south part of this building, we have Sherry Suttons over there doing Magna Wave and chiropractic appointments. She's also raffling off an Equivibe table. It is $50 per ticket. She is only selling 50 tickets, so you have a 1 in 50 shot of winning that table, and she is donating a portion of that money back to the Youth Sheep Expo Fund. Also, in the check-in building over here, there's a sign-up sheet for Old Timers Showmanship. It is a $5 nomination fee, a $20 get-out-of-it fee. So if you are interested in doing that, it is over there in the building.
Well, I think we've definitely had an awesome market lamb show, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I've never had the opportunity to work through this many breeds to sort through, and so it's definitely an experience for me to step back and have all these to evaluate in a grand drive. I am really glad I get to have 5 to pick and get to honor 5 of these kids in representation out of different breeds. I know there will be plenty of good ones that still go back to the barn without a banner, but I do think there are several good ones out here. I'm not one for grand drive speeches, but I do want to mention that this is all for the kids. This show is great. It's been put on, opportunity for all these kids to show and exhibit their animals, and I know this Market Lamb show's not the point, but I do think it's a great way to show the different sides of all the breeds, and just remember that this is for the kids, another opportunity for the kids to show and do what they love. With that being said, thank you for letting me work with your kids and sort through all your Market Lambs. I'll go ahead and set the mic down and get you a top 5.
Your champion market lamb exhibited by Jake Jordan with his Hampshire. Reserve champion market lamb is Jake Jordan also with his Shropshire. Third overall is Olivia Porter with her reserve champion Hampshire. Fourth overall is Katie Sparks with her natural colored. And fifth overall is Ella Tompkins with her reserve champion natural color. That does conclude the market lamb portion of the show. If you were in the top 5, please right now make your way over to the backdrop, get photos taken. We're going to have Kayla meet you over there, get those taken real quick. It is currently 12:17. At 12:30, we will start the Weather Dam show. At 12:30, we will start the Weather Dams. The Attention in the barns. At 12:30, we'll start the weather dams. Showmanship will be 15 minutes after the conclusion of the weather dam show. We will start showmanship 15 minutes after the conclusion of the weather dam show. We start with novice and work our way up. The classes are broke in the showmanship app. We start with novice and work our way to senior. Reminder that here at YSE we show all the novice and we will pick a champion novice showman. Then we'll pick a champion junior, a champion intermediate, and a champion senior showman. Weather Dam Exhibitors. Weather Dam Exhibitors, this is your 5-minute call for that Class 1 Whiteface Cross Weather Dam. 5-minute call. Also, showmanship. Showmanship will start 15 minutes after the conclusion of the Weather Dam show. 15 minutes after the conclusion of the Weather Dam show, we will do showmanship, starting with youngest to oldest. The show order for showmanship, just like all shows this weekend, are in the Showman app. Classes are broke in the Showman app by novice, junior, intermediate, and senior. So make sure you go to the Showman app to see the class breaks so you know what classes you are in for showmanship. They are broke within the divisions. So novice division, in each division, if I'm looking at this right, they are broke. Novice is first, and it's oldest to youngest within novice. So we're starting with the older kids that are 8, working our way down to the youngest kids, is the way I am looking at this. So just check the Showman app to make sure you are what class you are in. Weather Dam Exhibitors, this is that second call for Class 1, Whiteface Cross Weather Dam class, and first call for Class 2. Let's be bringing those Weather Dam classes up to the makeup ring. right, Weather Dam exhibitors, it is time. We are ready for that Class 1 Whiteface Cross Weather Dam class. There is one entry in this class, weight of 97 pounds. Class 2 Weather Dams, this is your second call. We've got a scratch in that one, so there's only going to be 2 entries in that Class 2. Class 3, let's be making your way with Class 3 Whiteface Cross Weather Dams to the makeup ring. Class 3. Weather Dam exhibitors, we will be showing through all of 9 classes of the weather dams. Then we will pick our overall champion and top 5 from there. So we will show through all 9 classes and then select our champion and reserve and 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So make sure we keep those 1st and 2nd place class winners ringside and ready.
Well, a single entry to start our Weather Dam show, and one we've seen in the market lambs, and again, is a single entry. The young lady does a great job getting her propped up. Balance is right, stuck. I think that one's good in terms of her shape and her body shape as well. Maybe in motion was where we wanted to change her. Just ties her neck in a little lower, gets a notch rounder in terms of her hip, but still a really high quality individual.
Placings on Class 1, first place, and congratulations goes to Lena May. In the ring now, we have Class 2 Whiteface Cross Weather Dams. We have 2 entries in this class, ranging from 119 to 124. Class 3 Weather Dams. Class 3, let's be making your way. This is your second call for that Class 3 Weather Dam to the makeup ring.
Nice pair, more white face, Dorset appearing kind of ewes, and I think there's similarities just in terms of frame size and moderation. For me, though, the young man's that's going to go ahead and win this class prefer in the front portion of her body, better in terms of the thickness of her neck, shorter in terms of her blade. In motion, she just runs uphill and is just more natural and fluid in terms of her step. I will say maybe in comparison, she's not as wide and not as massive as the ewe who comes here in second, but one I still think's more than adequate, one that I appreciate still looks like a female. The young ladies that comes here in second, love this one's density mass, the boldness in terms of her body, the stoutness in terms of her pin set, and one that I still think's okay in terms of the way she ties her neck in. For me, it's in motion. She runs downhill, her shoulder just gets a bit bolder and coarser at the point of it, and that's just where I'm splitting hairs in terms of personal preference, but I do think a high quality pair of sheep.
Placings on Class 2 Whiteface Cross Weather Dams. First place, and congratulations, goes to Nash Arthur. Second place goes to Lena May. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 3 Whiteface Cross Weather Dams. These range in from 146 to 179. Class 4, this will be your first call for that Class 4 cross weather dam class. First call, Class 4.
Ainsley Porter, we need your white face cross to the ring, please. Ainsley Porter.
Class 4, this is your second call for that Class 4 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Second place, Class 4. This will be the third and final call for that Class 4 Blackface Cross Weather Dam. Third and final call, Class 4 Blackface Cross Weather Dams.
I think we've got ourselves a high quality set of white-faced weather dams, and I know this class maybe just didn't go smoothly in the way it's ran, but I do think we've got some high quality sheep out here, and I know my top pair kind of differ in terms of type and kind, but the young man that wins our class, just from a weather dam standpoint, and one with some Southdown influence in her, I think her body shape, her flexibility off either end, the way her neck ties in, just how shallow she is in terms of her chest just suits me very, very good. I think this one's kind of unique. Maybe at times we just want to pick her up in terms of height, the shoulder, and I can get critical on her on that, but I do like what she stands for. The young lady's Southdown ewe that comes here in second, I like this one's added elevation, her height, the shoulder. I do think it's because maybe she's a notch straighter in terms of the angle of her shoulder, and that maybe makes her a notch more limited in terms of her spine and motion, but one, stuck. I really, really like this ewe's quality, her balance, her silhouette, maybe just not as neat from a weather dam standpoint as the young man's that wins our class. The young lady is Dorset appearing ewe that rounds out our class. I like that one's body type, practicality, still got some length, some elevation and levelness. Maybe you just want to drop this one's flank, square her up in terms of her hock, but a high quality class. My compliments to all these kids.
Placings in Class 3 Whiteface Cross Weather Dams. First place, and congratulations, Paul Rinker. Second place to Ainsley Porter, and third place to Janice Leafew. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 4 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Class 4. Let's go ahead and make a first call on Class 5 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First call, Class 5. Let's make a second call on that Class 5 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Second call, Class 5. Need to have those Class 5 sheep ringside and ready.
think an awesome class of black-faced weather dams to go ahead and start them. For me, I think there's a pair of higher quality sheep that just surface with a notch more mass in between them. The young lady's blue ewe lamb just loved through the front portion of her skeleton relatively. I think she's better in terms of her neck and the thinness of it, the height of where it ties in, and I still think she's a notch more correct in the angle of her shoulder. For me, maybe just not as bold, one that gets a notch rounder in terms of her hip when we're getting comparative, but I really like the way this ewe balances up from the side nonetheless. The young man that comes out here in second, just love this ewe from a shape and power perspective. Her body shape's really, really bold. Her hide texture's good. One for me, maybe just want to settle her and smoother in terms of the middle of her spine. Really big picture. I'm just more hesitant on her straighter shoulder and knee, and that's what lands her in second today. But one from a mass and power standpoint, I really can appreciate. The young lady's ewe lamb out here in three, we saw in the Market Lamb show, talked about her lower body balance, the shallowness of her chest, the length in terms of her neck, and levelness of her spine. She's got some shape, maybe one that's just not as opened up as the few ahead of her. And same can be said for the young lady that rounds out our class. I think just a notch greener pair of sheep. This one maybe just is a notch flatter in terms of her body shape when we're getting comparative. But my compliments to all these kids. Nice job.
This will be that third and final call for Class 5, Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Third and final call, Class 5. Placings on Class 4. First place, and congratulations, goes to Duke Tompkins. Second place to Jack Crouch. Third place to Emerson Yandell. And fourth place to Carson Yandell. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 5 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. These weigh from 113 to 122. Olivia Porter, your Class 5 weather dam is in the ring. Olivia Porter, your Class 5 weather dam is in the ring. This will be that second call. Second call for Class 6 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Second call, Class 6. This will be that third and final call for Class 6 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Third and final call. Also, just a reminder to all showmanship exhibitors, showmanship for all divisions, market lamb, weather dam, ewe, breeding sheep side, will take place 15 minutes after the conclusion of the weather dam show here in the main show ring. 15 minutes after the weather dam show, we will be starting our showmanship division here for all divisions. For the showmanship side, all the classes are posted in the Showman app, so go to the Showman app website, pull up the showmanship classes, and you'll be able to see the divisions for showmanship there on the website.
I think a high quality, awesome set all the way through of blackface weather dams here. And I think we've got parts and pieces and some really cool parts and pieces to work through. I think I just kind of sort myself up with the better built, more complete sheep. For me, the young lady's Hampshire ewe kind of wins easily, just in terms of the roundness of her body shape, the levelness of her spine. Propped up, she looks really, really nice. The only thing we talked about in the Market Lamb show, maybe her shoulders, just a notch straight for me. But that's getting nitpicky on a really kind of high quality sheep to win it. The young lady's Blue Ewe who came here in second, one that just kind of grew on me as we went through it, just from a skeletal standpoint and her flexibility off either end. I'm going to tell you of the top four, this one's the lightest muscled and probably the plainest in terms of her body shape, her chest, and her blade length, but I'm just more comfortable on the way her neck ties in, her maturity pattern, and her flexibility and motion, and that's why she stays second for me today. Young lady's Blue Ewe who came here in three. Laid my hands on her and my first thought was, man, she's stout. That one's back and rack shape is incredibly huge. Her hip and pin set's very, very big. Her body shape's so round. And I think when the young lady gets her propped up, she balances up good enough for me from the side. It's in motion that I think she needs to move better, blend better in terms of her loin, her front end, but that's what leaves her three today. And honestly, I thought it was the real decision was between 3 and 4. And for me, the young man's here in 4, I think is a notch leveler in terms of his spine and motion. One for me, I still think mimics some things, just being a notch shorter fronted, maybe a notch deeper in terms of her chest. One that I'd like to blend in terms of her loin as well, give her a notch more set in terms of her hock, but another really, really stout, powerful kind of ewe. The young man that rounds out here in 5th, like that one's length and extension, her neck, just her lateness, maturity in this lineup. I would like to move her up just because I like those things, but in this lineup, not coming with the same kind of mass and dimension, true body shape to move up, but like the feminine features in her. The young lady's more speckle-hided ewe here. I think just has some basics and basic pieces out here. For me, maybe just gets a notch plainer in terms of her look, her body shape, and her hip. And the young man's Shropshire ewe that kind of rounds out our class. One we talked about in the Market Lamb show, loving her shape and dimension. Maybe for me, just needs to be blown apart a notch more. Gets a notch plainer in terms of her feature. But an awesome set of weather dams. Really nice way to start this class.
Placings on Class 5 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First place, and congratulations, goes to Olivia Porter. Second place goes to Riggin Klotz. Third place to Cruz Coyle. Fourth place to Noah Maddox. Fifth place to Cruz Coyle. Sixth place to Taylor Stone. And seventh place to Brock Kessler. In the ring now, we have Class 6 Weather Dams. Weights from 124 to 129. This will be the first call for Class 7 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First place, Class 7. Out here just outside of the show ring from 1 o'clock till 3 today, we have snow cones available. They are free to everyone in attendance. So make sure you come out here to the south side of the show ring on the outside of the building and get a snow cone. This will be your second call. Second call for Class 7 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. Second call, Class 7 Blackface Cross Weather Dams to the makeup ring.
Showmanship exhibitors. So the way Showman app is set up at the moment, the 16-year-olds are actually in the senior division. So the oldest 16-year-old that's going, or your oldest person going to show in intermediate is Jackson Ritter. So if you're in the very bottom of that list, you will be in the intermediate last or first. Let's see, first class of intermediate. So just make sure that you're in the intermediates, not the senior. We're trying to get it fixed on Showman app, but we may have to do it on the fly.
So just a clarification on what Lloyd was just saying. As long as you are 16 years old by July 23rd, you are in the intermediate showmanship division. 16 by July 23rd, you are in intermediate showmanship division. Not still 16 by the 23rd. Still 16 by the 23rd of July, you are in the intermediate showmanship division.
think we've got ourselves another really high quality, really deep class of black-faced weather dams. And for me, I've got a lot of them I like, but I do have hesitations on each one of them. And I'll just be real honest with you, the one that wins is just my favorite. I just like her front end, her levelness of design, just the way she balances up from the side, because I still think she's got enough depth, but not too deep. Just balance is really good. For me, I do know in motion she's a notch too tight, especially in her rear wheels, and that's where I'll just bite the bullet today, because stuck. I just love that used profile, the way she ties her neck in, the levelness of her spine. The one that's really interesting for me comes here in too, because I think she's got parts and pieces, because her neck's really thin, her chest is shallow, her blade lays in right, her lower body's good. For me though, I almost wonder if it's too good. I think maybe it's just a notch full, maybe just a notch distracting at times, but I do think parts and pieces of that you read really high quality, really feminine, really good. The young man who comes here in 3, just the really massive, powerful one of this lineup, just end for end, the boldest and the most powerful, good in terms of her touch and her hide texture. For me, maybe it's just up front. She just gets a notch plainer relative to the 2 ahead of her, a bit thicker necked, a bit lower tying, a bit coarser in terms of her shoulder. The one comes here in 4, another one I think that comes in pieces again. I think her body shape, her rack shape, her touch is very good. Just step off to the side, and relative to the few ahead of her, she ties her neck in lower, she gets a bit easier in terms of her loin, and those are the nitpicky things that land her here in 4. The one that comes out here in 5, I think has some neat pieces to offer. Love her extension, her levelness of spine. For me, I think her hind leg's what does it. I don't know that it's square enough, it's got enough set. I think they've done an incredible job trying to fit it into her. I just don't know that she uses it nice enough to go ahead and move her up. The one that comes here in 6, another high quality one, stuck from the side, really balances up good. I just don't know that she's got the same kind of radical shape as a few of ahead of her, just studies a notch planer as you step off to the side. Young lady in 6, young lady in 7 and 8, or young lady and young man in 7 and 8, I still think have really good fundamental basic kind of sheep with some muscularity and touch relative to the few ahead of them. Just plainer in terms of their feature and their design and chest floor, but an incredible class. My compliments to all these kids.
Placings in Class 6, Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First place, and congratulations, goes to Emma Chandler. Second place to Jackson Ritter. Third place to Jake Jordan. Fourth place to Eleanor Carson. Fifth place to Lena May. Sixth place, Ava Wilson. Seventh place to Lydia Mills. And eighth place to Benton Yandell. In the class ring now, we have Class 7, Blackface Cross Weather Dams, weights ranging from 133 to 141. This will be his first call for that Class 8 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First call, Class 8.
right, showmanship contestants, just to make sure you understand what we're doing. Everything is correct on the Showman app, except for when we get to class 14 being in senior showmanship, it will be the last class of intermediate showmanship. So class 14 will be after class 13, then our intermediate champion, and then we'll go to senior showmanship, which will then have the three classes, 15, 16, 17. So class 14 goes into intermediate. We'll show prior to champion intermediate.
Another good class of weather dams, but this one just kind of falls more logically into place for me. The young man's ewe lamb that we're going to start with, we saw in the market lamb show, but just talked about how massive and how bold that ewe is. I still think she's good in terms of her shape, and I know she's maybe not my kind in terms of her maturity pattern and height of shoulder, but I think it is impressive how well she lays that kind of mass onto a flexible, smooth skeleton, still maintains her shoulder blade laid into her good. I think the young man does a good job getting her stuck. The young lady that comes out here in second, like that ewe in terms of her height, the shoulder, or elevation. I think maybe just as we step back, things don't balance together as well. Maybe just a notch looser in terms of her spine. One that's maybe not as good in terms of her chest to flank ratio. A young lady that comes out here in three. I like this ewe. I think in terms of her just length of body, levelness of spine, we can appreciate that. For me, my question on hers in motion and just her angle. And my question on her is in motion and the angle of her shoulder. I think maybe her hip loin doesn't tie in as well too. For me, the young lady that comes out here in four, again, I think just a basic, solid kind of brood ewe potential. Out here, I think just gets a notch plainer in terms of her design and her feature. The young man that comes out here in fifth, a really bold-bodied, muscular kind of female, just gets a notch too coarse, a notch too tight in her spine. And the young man that rounds out our class, really like the length and femininity in that ewe, just need to see her busted open a notch more, just a notch softer in terms of her body. But an incredible class to these kids. My compliments to all of them.
Placings on Class 7, first place, and congratulations goes to Jude Parker. Second place to Ainsley Porter. Third to Madeline Crouch. Fourth to Sarah Munsterman. Fifth to Sam Munsterman. And sixth to Brock Kessler. In the ring now, we're ready for Class 8 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. There are 4 entries in this class. Weights from 142 to 166. This is going to be a first call and second call for that Class 9 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. First and second call for Class 9 Blackface Cross Weather Dams.
I think another awesome class of heavyweight black-face crosses, and as a judging coach, I think this one makes an incredibly good judging class because there's 4 of them and there's logic and there's places to sort with them. For me, though, the one that wins and wins easy. Not only is she the big one out here, that's the high-quality one that just hits you so good out of the ring. I think just her mass, her body shape, her look up front. If we're getting nitpicky, maybe her loin just breaks us touch. Maybe she's just not perfect in her rear leg in motion, but I think it's more than good enough. For me, I think the pair and the decision becomes in your middle pair, and for me, really, it comes down to the fact that I don't think either of them's perfect in the angle of their shoulder. For me, though, I think the young man's comes with a notch more punch and power, bolder in terms of her rib cage, got more rack shape and dimension, and I do think when the young man gets out of her and just lets her stand, maybe balances up a notch better. The young man that comes out here in 3, like that use added length and extension relatively, more feminine in terms of her neck. I just wish she'd settle down the middle of her spine, maybe drop in terms of her flank ever so slightly, but I do think a really nice feminine kind of U that's good in terms of her shape. And the young lady's blue U that rounds out her class, maybe the smallest one in the class, still got some body, some performance, maybe one that just hits me a notch playing her relative to her contemporaries, but I do think a really kind of foundational brood U for the young lady.
Placings on Class 8. First place, and congratulations, goes to Kylie Anderson. Second place goes to Jace Maddox. Third to Grayson Poe. And fourth to Sawyer Bulis. In the ring now, we are ready for Class 9 Blackface Cross Weather Dams. These are weights from 189 to 198. Let's be making your way up here with all first and second place weather dams to the makeup ring. All first and second place weather dams need to be in the makeup ring, please. Showmanship exhibitors, just a reminder, we will start showmanship 15 minutes after the conclusion of the Weather Dam show. 15 minutes after the conclusion of the Weather Dam show, and we will start with novice showmanship first. Novice showmanship first. So that first class of novice showmanship when we get ready to start is Class 1 in the app. So make sure you're looking at the Showman app. Those are all updated. The only thing that is not correct is Class 14 is listed as a senior showmanship class. It is actually an intermediate class. Class 14 is actually an intermediate class, not a senior class.
I think a nice way to finish out our Weather Dam classes in our yearling division, and I do think it sorts together logically in my mind, and I do think there's a pair of them up top, but for me it's just easy to find the younger ladies, ewe lambs, just her added femininity and refinement up front. That one just looks a notch neater and fresher. I don't know that maybe she's just perfect in terms of the angle of her shoulder, but in terms of her shallowness, the shallowness, the thickness of her neck, and the way her neck ties in, that one just suits me much, much better. The young lady that comes here in second definitely has an advantage for mass and power. This ewe's incredibly stout. Her pin set's huge. Her stifle shape's massive. For me, though, I think maybe maturity showing a notch more through her neck and chest floor, and that's what makes the decision for me. The young ladies that round out our class, I still think have a good practical bodied kind of female that's still level in terms of her top line. Maybe just doesn't have the same kind of mass and power as the two ahead of her, but an awesome class to end out our Weather Dam division. My compliments to all three of you guys.
Mike O'Neill, we need to see that. First place in Class 9, and congratulations, goes to Eleanor Carson. Second place to Lydia Mills, and third to Janice Leafu. Once we get everybody lined up, we are ready to select our champion and reserve champion Weather Dams and top 5 overall. Entering the ring, we are ready to select our champion and top 5 overall Weather Dams. First place out of Class 1 is Lena May. First place out of Class 2 is Nash Arthur. Second place out of Class 2 is Lena May. First place out of Class 3 is Paul Rinker. Second place was Ainsley Porter. First place out of Class 4 is Duke Tompkins. Second place is Jack Crouch. First place out of Class 5 was Olivia Porter. Second place out of Class 5 is Riggin Klotz. First place out of Class 6 is Emma Chandler. Second place out of Class 6 was Jackson Ritter. First place out of Class 7 is Jude Parker. Second place out of Class 7 is Ainsley Porter. First place out of Class 8 was Kylie Anderson. Second place out of Class 8 is Jace Maddox. And first place out of Class 9 is Eleanor Carson. And second place out of Class 9 is Lydia Mills. As we're getting our weather dam set, let's give all of our weather dam exhibitors a round of applause, folks, and thank them for bringing these sheep out here today. Our judge through our Market Lamb and Weather Dam show today, let's introduce Miss Kyla Minnan. Kyla is from Walton, Indiana. She grew up raising and showing sheep with her family. She went to junior college at Joliet Junior College and earned academic All-American honors. In livestock judging, she has graduated from Kansas State and is proud to have been on the national champion livestock judging team. Kyla is now starting as the livestock judging coach at Joliet Junior College. Let's give her a round of applause and thank her for working through the sheep here today. Also, over here on the south end of the building, Sherry Sutton is over there with MagnaWave and Chiropractic Services. She is raffling off 50 tickets for an Equivibe table. It's $50 per ticket. She's only selling 50 of them. So you have a 1 in 50 chance of winning, and she's donating a portion of that back to Youth Sheep Expo. So if you have interest in a Equivibe table, please go buy a $50 ticket and have your chance to win.
Well, I think an awesome set of weather dams out here. Really find a few that I like a good deal out here. I know there's a lot of them. We went through a lot of classes. Bring our white faces in to compete against our black faces. And I do think there is some competition there. There are a few that stick out in my mind, hit me really, really hard in class. I'm not going to give you a whole speech. I'm not going to go ahead and break each one of them down for you. But I do want to say thank you for having me out here. I know it's hot. I know your kids are hot. The sheep are hot. But thank you for having me out here. Thank you guys for having great attitudes, being fun sports and fun participants out here. Thank you to everybody running the show because it's being ran very, very, very good. I just want to say my compliments to everyone. I'll go ahead and set the mic down and get you top 5.
Your overall champion Weather Dam from Class 8, Kylie Anderson. Your reserve Class 6, Emma Chandler. From Class 5, Olivia Porter. From Class 7, 4th overall, Jude Parker. And from Class 6, 5th overall, Jackson Ritter. That does conclude our Weather Dam show. Make sure if you were a top 5 exhibitor to go to the backdrop and get your picture taken. This is a 15-minute break, so we will pick back up at 1:50. 1:50, we will start with showmanship.